You did what? To their formal declaration of war? Admiral Chen's voice carried equal parts disbelief and mounting horror as she stared at the holographic display. Well, Lieutenant Rodriguez drawled, trying and failing to suppress a grin. Technically speaking, we translated it into all 7,134 currently spoken human languages, ran it through an AI meme generator, and broadcast the results across every social media platform in known space. He paused, then added helpfully, "The Keplerian Empire's declaration is currently trending on 16 different platforms. The cat version is particularly popular." The Admiral closed her eyes and pinched the bridge of her nose. 25 years of distinguished service in the United Earth Defense Force hadn't prepared her for this moment. Let me get this straight. The most powerful alien empire in the known galaxy sent us a formal declaration of war. Their first contact with humanity, I might add, and our response was to turn it into memes? Don't forget the TikTok dances, chimed in Communications Officer Park from her station. Those are getting billions of views. Someone set the Imperial Herald's speech to Baby Shark. The vast command center of the UDF flagship, Humanity's Pride, fell silent as Admiral Chen processed this information. Through the sweeping viewports, Earth hung like a blue marble in the void, blissfully unaware that its population had just responded to an interstellar declaration of war with what could only be described as weapons-grade shitposting. And what, she finally managed, has been the Empire's response to this creative interpretation of their declaration? Rodriguez's grin widened. That's the best part, ma'am. They've been completely silent for the past 6 hours. According to our deep space monitoring, there's been a massive spike in internal communications between their command ships, but they haven't sent a single message our way. I think we broke their protocol. Of course we did, Chen muttered. Because apparently, in all their centuries of conquest, no one has ever responded to their dramatic declaration of war by turning their supreme herald into a dancing cat gif. The truth was, humanity had been aware of the Keplerian Empire for months before they made their move. The massive fleet of warships had been impossible to miss as they approached the solar system, their energy signatures lighting up every sensor array from Neptune to Mercury. But rather than panic, humanity had done what it always did best: prepare in the most chaotic way possible. While the military readied defenses and the government planned diplomatic responses, the internet had gone into overdrive. Speculation about alien life had exploded into memes, theories, and increasingly elaborate scenarios about first contact. By the time the Keplerian fleet had reached Jupiter's orbit, there were already dozens of TikTok trends about potential alien invasion responses, 3 viral dances dedicated to hypothetical alien diplomacy, and an entire subreddit devoted to creating the perfect meme to greet our new alien overlords. So when the actual declaration of war had arrived, a pompous 40-minute monologue about the glory of the Empire and humanity's imminent subjugation, the response had been almost instantaneous. Before the military could even formulate an official reply, the internet had done its thing. "Ma'am," Officer Park's voice cut through Chen's thoughts. "We're receiving a new transmission from the Keplerian flagship, text only." "Put it on screen," Chen ordered, bracing herself. The message was brief. "Cease this incomprehensible behavior immediately. You will show proper respect for the formal protocols of war." Before Chen could respond, Rodriguez let out a snort. "Too late. Someone just set that message to the tune of 'Never Gonna Give You Up,' and it's already got 5 million shares. Chen should have been horrified. This was, after all, a serious diplomatic and military crisis. But something about the absolute absurdity of the situation, combined with the mental image of dignified alien warriors trying to comprehend why humans were turning their threats into viral entertainment, made her lips twitch. "Ma'am," Park called out again. "The Empire is broadcasting again. Video this time." The main screen filled with the image of what could only be a Keplerian military commander. The alien was tall and vaguely humanoid, with iridescent scales and multiple sets of eyes. Its ornate uniform was covered in what appeared to be medals and insignia of rank. The overall effect would have been quite intimidating if someone hadn't immediately added a flower crown filter to the transmission. "Humans!" The commander's voice boomed, automatically translated by their systems. "Your behavior is unprecedented and unacceptable. We demand—" "They do realize that speaking in all caps is basically just asking for it, right?" Rodriguez muttered. "Immediate compliance with proper war protocols. You will cease these juvenile activities and prepare for— Wait, what is happening to my image?" The commander's last question came as someone in the global network had apparently gained access to the video feed and was adding real-time filters. The fearsome alien warrior was now sporting sparkly cat ears and whiskers. Chen watched as the commander's multiple eyes widened in what appeared to be a combination of confusion and outrage. The transmission cut off abruptly. "Well," Chen said after a moment, "I suppose this is one way to conduct psychological warfare." She paused, then added, "Though I'm not entirely sure who's waging it on whom at this point." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Keplerian fleet remained in position near Jupiter, but their communications had become increasingly frantic and confused. Every attempt at threatening humanity was met with an overwhelming wave of memes, remixes, and creative reinterpretations. The Empire's strict protocols for warfare apparently had no provisions for dealing with an enemy that refused to take their threats seriously. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, "you might want to see this. We're picking up some interesting chatter from their fleet." The intercepted communications painted an amusing picture. The Keplerian command structure was apparently in chaos. Some of their ships were receiving thousands of friend requests from human social media accounts. Their tactical frequencies were being flooded with cat videos and dance challenges. Someone had apparently created a dating app profile for their Supreme Herald. "Their War Council is currently debating whether we're actually advanced enough to be worth conquering," Rodriguez reported, reading through the translations. "Apparently, some of their analysts are arguing that no truly sophisticated species would respond to a declaration of war with, let me quote this directly, primitive audiovisual nonsense featuring small Earth predators in amusing situations. If they only knew how much of our GDP comes from cat videos," Park murmured. The situation reached its peak when, approximately 12 hours after their initial declaration of war, the Keplerian Empire attempted to demonstrate their superior technology by hacking into Earth's communications networks. What they found there apparently caused something of a cultural crisis. "They've discovered human internet culture," Rodriguez announced, reading the latest intelligence reports with increasing amusement. "Their cultural analysis team is having what appears to be a collective breakdown trying to understand why we have thousands of different words for various types of memes, but only one word for their most sacred ritual of war declaration." Chen couldn't help but smile. "Well, when you put it that way." The next transmission from the Keplerian flagship was markedly different in tone. The commander appeared again, this time very carefully speaking in a normal volume, and seemingly resigned to the fact that someone had added a dancing banana background to their broadcast. "People of Earth," the commander began, deliberately avoiding all caps, "it has come to our attention that there may have been some cultural misunderstandings. Our preliminary analysis of your civilization appears to have been incomplete." "That's one way of putting it," Chen muttered. "We are reconsidering our approach to your species. Our protocols appear to be inadequate for this situation. We request a formal diplomatic meeting to discuss alternatives to traditional warfare." The command center erupted in barely suppressed laughter as the commander's background suddenly filled with tiny dancing kittens, apparently added in real time by Earth's increasingly creative netizens. Chen straightened her uniform and stepped forward. For the first time since this crisis began, she felt like she was on solid ground. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We would be happy to arrange a diplomatic meeting. However, I feel I should warn you. Our diplomatic protocols might not be quite what you're expecting either." The commander's multiple eyes blinked in what might have been concern. "What do you mean?" "Well," Chen said, struggling to keep a straight face, "I believe the internet has already voted on the official greeting ceremony. Hope your diplomats are familiar with something called the Macarena." The commander's response was lost in the general laughter that filled the command center. On screens around the room, social media feeds continued to scroll, filled with an endless stream of creativity and humor in the face of what should have been an existential threat. Humanity had taken the Empire's carefully crafted protocols of war and turned them into entertainment, and in doing so, had possibly prevented an actual war. 2 weeks later, the first official diplomatic meeting between humanity and the Keplerian Empire took place. True to their word, the human delegation opened with a choreographed dance number that would have been embarrassing if the video hadn't already gotten 2 billion likes across various platforms. The Keplerian diplomats, to their credit, managed to maintain their dignity, even when the human cultural exchange package turned out to be a curated collection of the best memes created during the crisis. In the end, the Empire's official history would record their first contact with humanity as a unique cultural exchange, resulting in revised protocols for interspecies relations. Earth's version was somewhat different, primarily consisting of an endlessly repeated GIF of the Supreme Herald, with cat ears, captioned, "When you try to declare war, but end up in a dance battle instead." Admiral Chen, watching the diplomatic proceedings from her command center, couldn't help but feel proud. Humanity had faced down an alien invasion not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with its most powerful weapon. Its ability to turn anything, even a threat of planetary conquest, into a joke that everyone could share. "Ma'am," Rodriguez called out, interrupting her thoughts. "You might want to see this. The Empire's diplomatic corps just created their first official meme." Chen looked at the screen and burst out laughing. There, in all its glory, was an image of their first attempt at war declaration, overlaid with the text, "Instructions unclear, accidentally made friends with the humans." It wasn't particularly funny by Earth standards, but it was trying. And maybe that, Chen reflected, was what really mattered in the end. They had turned an alien invasion into a cultural exchange program, all because humanity refused to take itself too seriously. As she watched the diplomatic feed, where a group of dignified alien diplomats was now awkwardly attempting to learn the cha-cha slide, Chen couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, this was how galactic peace would actually be achieved. Not through serious negotiations and formal protocols, but through shared laughter and badly edited videos of cats. The Empire had declared war on humanity and gotten memes in return. And somehow, that had worked out better than anyone could have expected. "Lieutenant," Chen called out, "make sure we archive all of this. Something tells me the history books are going to want the full story." "Already done, ma'am," Rodriguez replied. "Though I took the liberty of adding a soundtrack to the official record. I hope you like Baby Shark." Chen just shook her head and smiled. It wasn't the most dignified first contact in history, but it was perhaps the most quintessentially human. And in the end, that had made all the difference. "Admiral Chen, we may have a situation," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, his usual grin notably absent. "The Empire's meme division just posted something concerning." 3 months had passed since humanity's unorthodox first contact with the Keplerian Empire, and things had been progressing surprisingly well. The Empire had established an official department of human cultural integration, which mostly consisted of increasingly bewildered alien anthropologists trying to understand why humans found pictures of cats with misspelled captions so amusing. Chen looked up from her reports. "Define concerning." "Well," Rodriguez brought up the holographic display. "They attempted to create what they thought was a harmless meme about their superior technology. Unfortunately, they accidentally used a format that's typically reserved for issuing challenges on Earth social media." The image floated before them, a side-by-side comparison of a Keplerian warship and Earth's most advanced battlecruiser, with the caption, "Your ship versus the ship she told you not to worry about." Below it, someone had added 1v1 me bro. Chen closed her eyes and counted to 10. "Please tell me this hasn't gone viral?" "Sorry, ma'am. It's already spawned 16 different response videos from various Earth naval crews. The Chinese space fleet just posted a TikTok of their flagship doing something they're calling the ship shuffle." The situation rapidly escalated from there. What the Keplerians had intended as a simple demonstration of their technological advancement had been interpreted by humanity as the interstellar equivalent of a dance-off challenge. Within hours, social media was flooded with videos of Earthships performing increasingly elaborate maneuvers set to popular music. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Park called out, barely containing her laughter. "The Keplerians are demanding to know why the United African Alliance's Third Fleet just challenged them to something called a space drift competition." "Has anyone explained to them what happened the last time someone posted drift competition on social media?" Chen asked, already dreading the answer. "No, but they're about to find out. Someone just uploaded a compilation of Earth's most legendary street racing videos with the caption, 'Your move scales.'" The command center of humanity's pride had become something of a cultural observation post over the past few months. Screens that once tracked potential threats now displayed social media trends and meme analytics. Chen sometimes wondered what her instructors at the academy would think of this new form of diplomatic relations. "Admiral," Rodriguez interrupted her thoughts. "The Empire's Cultural Integration Department is requesting an emergency conference. Apparently, they're concerned about losing face if they don't accept these challenges." Chen sighed. "Put them through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a panel of Keplerian officials. Their scales seemed slightly paler than usual, which Chen had learned was their equivalent of nervous sweating. "Admiral Chen," the lead cultural officer began, "we find ourselves in a difficult position. Our studies of human culture suggest that failing to respond to these challenges would be seen as, what is your phrase, chickening out." "That's not exactly." Chen started, but the Keplerian continued. We have analyzed thousands of human social media interactions and determined that the proper response must be, and I quote, challenge accepted. However, we are uncertain about the proper protocols for a multi-species ship performance competition. Chen tried to maintain her professional demeanor, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. Are you saying the Keplerian Empire, with its millennia of military tradition, wants to participate in what is essentially an intergalactic talent show? Our analysts suggest it would be an optimal way to demonstrate our capabilities while maintaining the, what do you call it, vibe. The cultural officer looked particularly proud of using that term correctly. And that was how, 2 weeks later, the first interstellar fleet exhibition was organized in the neutral space between Mars and Jupiter. What had started as an accidental challenge had evolved into something between a military parade and a viral video competition. The Earthships opened with a synchronized flight pattern that spelled out "You mad bro?" in formation, complete with a winking emoji. The Keplerians, having spent the intervening time studying human entertainment, responded with a complex maneuver that somehow incorporated elements of breakdancing. If breakdancing were performed by kilometer-long warships. Are they doing the worm? Rodriguez asked incredulously as they watched a Keplerian dreadnought undulate through space. I believe that's their interpretation of it, yes, Chen replied, wondering not for the first time how this had become her life. The exhibition continued for hours, with ships from both species performing increasingly elaborate stunts. The human internet was having a field day, with live commentary and instant memes being generated faster than either side's AI could track them. The event reached its peak when the Keplerian flagship, in an attempt to win the competition, executed a perfect recreation of the entire Gangnam-style dance choreography, scaled up to capital ship size. Ma'am, Park announced, we're detecting massive spikes in social media activity across both human and Keplerian networks. I think we just witnessed the birth of the first truly cross-species viral video. Chen watched as the various feeds exploded with reactions. Humans were creating instant remixes and edits, while Keplerian social media, a concept that would have been unthinkable 3 months ago, was filled with detailed technical analyses of how their ships had achieved such precise movements. Lieutenant Rodriguez, Chen called out. Please tell me someone recorded all of this from multiple angles. Better than that, ma'am. The Indian Space Command already has a documentary crew working on what they're calling So You Think You Can Dance, Galactic Edition. The aftermath of the exhibition was even more interesting than the event itself. The Keplerian Empire, which had once been ready to conquer Earth, was now deeply invested in understanding and participating in human popular culture. Their military strategists were studying viral video trends with the same intensity they once reserved for battle tactics. Admiral, Rodriguez reported a few days later, you might find this interesting. The Empire's Cultural Integration Department has submitted a formal proposal for what they're calling the Galactic Meme Exchange Program. Chen raised an eyebrow. Do I want to know the details? They want to establish a joint human Keplerian think tank dedicated to creating culturally relevant content that promotes interspecies understanding through shared humor. He paused. They also want to know if we can teach their ships to do the Macarena for the next exhibition. Chen couldn't help but laugh. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor after all. What had started as a potential war had evolved into something that resembled a galactic culture club, complete with dance competitions and meme battles. You know, she mused, when I joined the Defense Force, I never imagined I'd be approving choreography for capital ships. Look on the bright side, ma'am, Rodriguez offered. At least we're not at war. No, Chen agreed, watching as another wave of memes flooded the screens around them. Instead, we're teaching an alien empire how to shitpost. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. Better, Park chimed in. Definitely better. Did you see their latest attempt at a rickroll? They're learning. As if on cue, a notification popped up on the main screen. The Keplerian flagship was broadcasting again, this time with their entire bridge crew attempting to perform a TikTok dance trend that had been popular about 6 months ago. Should we tell them the dance is outdated? Rodriguez asked. Chen shook her head, smiling. No, let them figure it out. That's half the fun. And so, what had begun as a misunderstood meme continued to evolve into one of the most unique diplomatic relationships in human history. The Keplerian Empire was learning that sometimes the best way to understand a species was through their jokes, while humanity was discovering that even the most serious alien civilization could learn to appreciate a good meme. As Chen watched the Keplerian crew's somewhat stiff attempt at viral dance moves, she couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, This was exactly how intergalactic relations should be. A little awkward, somewhat silly, but ultimately bringing different species together through shared laughter. "Ma'am?" Rodriguez called out one last time. "The Empire's meme division just posted their first original content without any human assistance. And it's actually pretty good. They've managed to combine their traditional war protocols with something called Doge speak. It's already trending." Chen nodded approvingly. "Now that's what I call cultural integration." The universe, it seemed, wasn't ready for the combination of humanity's meme culture and alien technology, but it was definitely going to have to adapt to it. "Admiral Chen, I regret to inform you that we have a diplomatic incident in progress," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, his expression unusually serious. "The Keplerian Empire's newly established Department of Memetic Warfare has, well, they've accidentally declared war on cats." 6 months had passed since the legendary Interstellar Fleet exhibition, and the cultural exchange between humanity and the Keplerians had been proceeding at an unprecedented pace. Perhaps too unprecedented, as evidenced by the current situation. Admiral Chen, who had grown accustomed to increasingly bizarre reports, merely raised an eyebrow. "Explain." They attempted to create what they thought was a harmless comparison meme between their traditional combat vehicles and Earth's domestic felines. Unfortunately, they used the phrase "far superior to your primitive Earth predators" in their caption. The internet took it personally, ma'am. #TeamCat is currently the highest trending topic across all platforms. Someone created an AI-generated video of a house cat defeating their entire invasion fleet, and it's gone viral on every social media platform in known space. Chen pinched the bridge of her nose. "Please tell me the Empire isn't taking this seriously." "That's actually the problem, ma'am. Their cultural analysts have interpreted this as a formal challenge to their military supremacy. They're demanding trial by combat, with cats." The command center of humanity's pride fell silent as this information sank in. Through the viewport, Earth continued its serene orbit, blissfully unaware that its feline population had just been diplomatically challenged to an interstellar duel. "Communications Officer Park," Chen called out. "Please tell me you have some good news." Park's fingers flew across her console. "Define good, ma'am. The global cat video submission rate has increased by 3,000% in the last hour. The Japanese Space Defense Force just released a compilation of their ship's AI avatars wearing cat ears. And oh," she paused, looking concerned. "The Empire's Cultural Integration Department is requesting an emergency conference. They're citing something called Rule 34 of the Internet and asking for clarification." Chen closed her eyes momentarily. Nobody explained that rule to them, ever. She straightened her uniform. "Put them through on the main screen." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a panel of distinctly uncomfortable-looking Keplerian officials. Their scales had taken on a peculiar iridescent pattern that Chen had learned to associate with cultural confusion. "Admiral Chen," the lead cultural officer began, "we find ourselves in need of your expertise. Our analysis of human responses to our recent memetic engagement has revealed some troubling patterns." "You mean the cat thing?" "Precisely. We have observed that humans appear to hold these small predators in unusually high regard. Our databases indicate that they serve no significant military function, yet they occupy approximately 73.4% of all human visual entertainment content." Rodriguez muttered under his breath. "Wait until they discover dog videos." The Keplerian official continued. "Furthermore, our attempts to assert our technological superiority over these creatures have resulted in an unprecedented wave of what you call wholesome content, featuring felines defeating our most advanced combat simulations through what appears to be cuteness?" "I can explain," Chen began, but the official wasn't finished. "We have also noticed a disturbing trend where humans consistently attribute greater tactical prowess to these cats than to our most sophisticated battle computers. The phrase, 'if it fits, it sits,' appears to be some form of advanced military doctrine that we cannot decipher." Chen struggled to maintain her professional demeanor. "Perhaps we should take a step back. What exactly are you proposing?" "After careful consideration, the Empire's High Command has authorized me to extend an invitation for a formal cultural exchange program. We wish to study these creatures that hold such power over human society." And that was how, 2 weeks later, the first Keplerian diplomatic delegation found themselves in what had once been a conference room aboard Humanity's Pride, now converted into a makeshift cat cafe. The sight of dignified alien warriors being systematically conquered by a group of rescued shelter cats would forever be etched in Chen's memory. "Ma'am," Rodriguez reported, trying to keep a straight face. "The Empire's lead strategic analyst has been immobilized for the past hour. Apparently, a tabby cat fell asleep on their lap, and they're citing something called the sacred law of the warm cat as reason not to move." Chen watched as another high-ranking Keplerian official was reduced to baby-talking at a playful kitten. "Are we recording this?" "Multiple angles, ma'am. The footage has already been requested by both the Xenological Institute and Animal Planet." The situation evolved rapidly from there. The Empire, having discovered the concept of pet ownership, began implementing sweeping reforms to their spacecraft design protocols. Battle stations were retrofitted with scratching posts. Fleet formations were adjusted to account for optimal sunbathing spots. The fearsome Keplerian battle cry was modified to include a frequency that attracted nearby felines. "Admiral," Park called out several days later, "you might want to see this. The Empire just released their updated military rankings." Chen looked at the display and had to sit down. The Keplerians had formally integrated cats into their command structure, with each ship now required to have a chief feline officer on board. The official explanations cited superior tactical instincts and unparalleled ability to secure high ground. "They do realize that cats don't actually plan military strategies, right?" Chen asked no one in particular. "Try telling that to the Empire's new strategic napping division," Rodriguez replied. "They're convinced that cats possess some form of higher dimensional awareness that we're only beginning to understand." The cultural exchange continued to evolve in unexpected ways. The Empire began producing their own cat videos, featuring increasingly elaborate sets built to Keplerian scale. Their first viral hit showed a tiny kitten successfully defending a capital ship's bridge against a pitched battle simulation, primarily by knocking critical controls off elevated surfaces. "Ma'am," Park announced one morning, "the Empire's Cultural Integration Department has submitted a formal proposal. They want to establish an interstellar cat sanctuary network. Something about preserving Earth's most tactically significant species." Chen reviewed the proposal, which included detailed plans for zero-gravity play areas and fusion-powered laser pointers. Are they serious about this? Completely. They've already begun converting several of their destroyer-class vessels into what they're calling mobile feline strategic assets, though I think we'd call them space cat carriers. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of irony. The same empire that had once threatened to conquer Earth was now thoroughly conquered by Earth's cats. Their fearsome war fleet was gradually being transformed into the galaxy's most heavily armed pet transport system. "You know," Chen mused, watching as another Keplerian battleship transmitted footage of their newly installed cat gymnasium. "When the history books write about this, nobody's going to believe it." "Oh, I wouldn't worry about that, ma'am," Rodriguez grinned. "The cats made sure everything was thoroughly documented. There's even a hashtag, #Keplerian Cat Takeover." As if to emphasize his point, a notification appeared on the main screen. The Empire's flagship was broadcasting again, this time showing their entire bridge crew attempting to recreate a famous cat video. The sight of serious alien warriors trying to fit into increasingly small boxes while their chief feline officers supervised was something Chen never thought she'd see. "Should we tell them that's not exactly what 'if it fits, it sits' means?" Park asked. Chen shook her head, smiling. "No, let them figure it out. Besides, the cats seem to be enjoying it." And so, what had begun as a diplomatic incident evolved into one of the most successful cultural exchange programs in human history. The Keplerian Empire learned that sometimes the most powerful weapons weren't weapons at all, but small, furry creatures with an inexplicable ability to conquer hearts across species barriers. As Chen watched another group of Keplerian officers being systematically wrapped around tiny feline paws, she couldn't help but think that maybe this was exactly how galactic peace should be achieved. Not through force or fear, but through shared joy and the universal appeal of cat videos. "Ma'am," Rodriguez called out one last time, "the Empire's new Feline Intelligence Division just released their first official report. And it's just pictures of sleeping cats with the caption, 'All according to plan.' It's already been shared several million times." Chen nodded approvingly. "Now that's what I call successful integration." The galaxy, it seemed, wasn't ready for the combination of humanity's cat obsession and alien technology. But the cats, as usual, had everything under control. To be continued, after a quick nap.